Good afternoon. Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Let's begin our broadcast with the latest with Operation Epic Fury and the U.S. implemented blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. This is on the heels of President Trump just speaking with some reporters outside of the White House. There are a few clips that Rapid Response is posting, so we're going to get to those as well. The president spoke to the press a ton over the past 24, 48, 72 hours. We're going to dive into that to get some more context as well. And on top of that, overseas in Pakistan, of course, the vice president there leading that team of negotiators as we really tackle this situation right now with the Strait of Hormuz. So we're going to go to some of those interviews and information coming up in just a minute. All right, specifically, as seen on Truth Social over the weekend, President Trump has ordered the U.S. Navy to blockade Iran's ports in the Strait of Hormuz beginning today. And I believe we may have a map of some of the specifics in the area there. Meantime, Iran says the blockade is, quote, piracy and vowed to respond with decisive force if it's put into place. So we'll monitor the latest developments. As you see, that is from Marine Traffic. A lot of different things going on there, specifically in the Middle East. Now, we will go to that global situation as it develops, including the latest from the Commander-in-Chief via Truth Social. Again, the president just speaking with a few reporters outside the Oval Office moments ago. We'll get to some of that in just a minute. But speaking of the president, he spoke with the press numerous times over the past 24 to 48 hours. So let's check it out on clip number one.
I'm getting a lot of reports. They've been meeting for many hours, as you probably have noticed. We'll see what happens. Look, regardless, we win. Regardless what happens, we win. We've totally defeated that country. And so let's see what happens. Maybe they make a deal, maybe they don't.
Is it a good sign?
From the standpoint of America, we win. One other thing that's happening is that boats are sailing up and heading out to our country. Big, beautiful tankers, and we're loading them up with oil and gas and everything else. And pretty beautiful thing to see.
What about China? Have you agreed to release Iran's assets in other countries?
We're going to see what happens. We're in very deep negotiations with Iran. We win regardless. We've defeated them militarily. They've dropped a couple of water mines, you call them water mines, in the boat. We've defeated all of their water boats too. Their Navy has gone 158 ships. They have 28 water droppers, mine droppers they call them. All of them are sunk. They probably have a couple of mines in the water. We have mine sweepers out there. We're sweeping the strait. In addition to that, we're negotiating. Whether we make a deal or not makes no difference to me. And the reason is because we've won. Whether you listen to the fake news or not, you know, it's amazing. Their credibility is down to 13%. The media credibility down to 13%. Think of it. We defeated their Navy. We defeated their Air Force. We defeated their anti-aircraft. We defeated their radar. We defeated their leaders. Their leaders are all dead. And now all we do is we'll open up the strait, even though we don't use it, because we have a lot of other countries in the world that do use it that are either afraid or weak or cheap. I don't know what it is, but we were not helped by NATO, that I can tell you. How do you know that? Why do you say that? Why do you say that? You don't know anything. Who are you with? Who are you with? ABC? Well, that's fake news. Let me just tell you. We win, no matter what. We've defeated their military. They have no Navy. 158 ships are underwater, undersea. All of their mine sweepers and all of their, they call them mine droppers. Can you imagine? A country has 28 mine droppers. You think that's nice? With all of that being said, they're all defeated, by the way. They're all at the bottom of the sea. Now, with all of that, they have no Navy. They have no radar. They have no Air Force. Their leaders are all dead. With Khomeini is gone. For many years he ruled. He's gone. With all of that, let's see what happens. But from my standpoint, I don't care.
China is preparing to ship weapons to Iran.
Well, if China does that, China's going to have big problems, okay?
President, is Netanyahu on the same page as you? If you tell VP Vance what's left, sir.
Well, I wish him luck. He's got a big thing. We'll find out what's going on. They're militarily defeated, and now we're going to open up the Gulf with or without them. But that'll be open. We're going to be, or the Strait as they call it, and I think it's going to go pretty quickly. And if it doesn't, we'll be able to finish it off one way or the other. It's going well. The Navy's gone, the Air Force is gone, all anti-aircraft is gone, the leaders are gone, the whole place is gone. So we'll see how it turns out. So it's JD, it's Steve, and Jared. They have a good team, and they meet tomorrow. We'll see how it all works.
You're not going to let them hold the Strait, are you? It's international.
No, we're not going to let that. It's international water. If they're doing that, nobody knows if they're doing that. But if they're doing that, we're not going to let that happen.
What would a good deal look like for you?
No nuclear weapons. Number one. You know, I think it's already been regime change, but we never had that as a criteria. No nuclear weapons. That's 99% of it.
Strait of Hormuz as well?
Yeah, but that'll open up automatically. Yeah, the answer is yes, but the Strait will open up. If we just left, the Strait's going to, otherwise they make no money. And so the Strait's going to open. But what we have is no nuclear weapons, but we'll open the Strait anyway.
And the Iranians,
Don't forget, we don't use the Strait. Other countries use the Strait. So we do have other countries coming up, and they'll help out, but we don't use it. It won't be easy. It won't be. I would say this: we will have that open fairly soon.
What's your backup plan? What's your backup plan if it's going to field open?
You don't need a backup plan. We have the military is defeated. Their military is gone. They have, you know, we've degraded just about everything. They have very few missiles. They have very little manufacturing capability. We've hit them hard. Our military is amazing. The job they've done.
Sorry, so is this a one and done talk, or are you open to more talks after this, depending on what
I
they
don't know.
say?
I can't tell you. I have to see what happens tomorrow. They've been talking for 47 years with other presidents, and we're not doing much talking. Thank you very much. Probably heard that a lot of very good things are happening with regard to the Strait, Hormuz, and a lot of good things are happening for our country. It's been very strong. We have some tremendous numbers released economically on jobs and everything else, and things are going very well.
How is the ceasefire holding, Mr. President?
Say it?
Ceasefire holding.
I would say it's holding well. Their military is destroyed. Their whole Navy is underwater. You know that. 158 ships are gone. Their Navy's gone. Most of their mine droppers are gone. We have a lot of people, as you know, at 10 o'clock tomorrow, we have a blockade going into effect. That'll be 10 o'clock tomorrow. Other nations are working so that Iran will not be able to sell oil, and that would be very effective. But what we want to do is we want to, and again, we don't need it. What we notice and what we see and what I think is maybe my idea, maybe not, I don't know. But there are many boats heading toward our country to fill up with oil and then go and take it. So they're not going to go through the Hormuz Strait. And ultimately that'll be corrected. But in the meantime, they're using us. We have more oil because of drill baby drill. We have more oil than Russia and Saudi Arabia put together. So if you look at Russia and Saudi Arabia, two big ones, we have much more oil than they have put together. And what's happening is boats are coming over here, filling up. They don't have to go through the Hormuz.
Can you give us an update, Mr. President, on the two pilots? Are they in good condition? Have you spoke to them or their families?
They are in very good shape, and we're very proud of them, the two pilots, yeah.
You said that Iran, earlier you said Iran, you think is ready to come back to the table. What gives you that thought?
I think Iran is in very bad shape. I think they're very desperate. We had a meeting that lasted 21 hours. We understand the situation better than anybody, and Iran's in very bad shape. And just so you understand, Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. Will not have. There is no way that they're going to get. They still want it, And they made that clear the other night. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. Oh, I don't know. I don't care if they come back or not. If they don't come back, I'm fine. Their military is gone. Their missiles are largely depleted. The manufacturing capability for missiles and drones is largely defeated. We've been very nice. We haven't ripped down too many bridges. We did one only because they broke their word, they broke their promise. And remember, their promise was that they were going to open the Hormuz Strait. They didn't do it. They lied. Yeah, they're coming up and they're helping. Yeah, we have many other countries.
Specific countries that will be buying the oil from the United States. Have you had any talks with specific?
Well, you just have to see. But the ships are heading up to our country right now, empty, and they're going to go back filled up with oil. I don't think he's doing a very good job. He likes crime, I guess. He hit us. Think of it. He's worried about fear. What about the fear when the ministers and the priests and all of those great people that were arrested during COVID, and in many cases they're outside 10 feet apart, and they were arrested. So we don't like it. We don't like a pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a pope that says crime is okay in our city. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person, and he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon so they can blow up the world. So I'm not a fan of Pope Leo.
So would you be okay with a third country that took Iran's uranium?
About what?
Would you be okay with a third country that agreed to send Iran's uranium?
Well, that's a very theoretical question. Really, I don't want to answer. Well, they're coming up. They're going to be coming up. But I'm very disappointed in NATO. They didn't do that. They weren't there for us. We pay trillions of dollars for NATO, and they weren't there for us. Remember what I said. NATO was not there. Now they want to come up, but there's no real threat anymore. But NATO was not there for us. We'll see what happens. But, you know, we spend trillions of dollars on NATO to help them guard really against Russia. When you think of it, we're guarding against Russia. And I've long thought it was a little ridiculous, but we spend trillions of dollars doing it, and I think that's going to be under very serious examination. Thank you very much.
All right, so bringing you up to speed on all of those press conferences, those mini press conferences that you saw over the past 24 to 48 hours. Fast forward to today. Of course, today's Monday, April 13th. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the White House, where we have a few clips, just gathering those, of the president speaking with the press just moments ago outside the Oval Office. He just received a DoorDash order at the Oval Office, of course, celebrating the whole thing about no tax on tips. So we're going to get to that in just a minute. Before we do, let's go to a few of our great sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, including All Family Pharmacy. With everything that's going on in the world right now, supply chain issues, global instability, shortages that not many are talking about, your access to medications is just something that should be top of mind, of course. Most people don't think about it until they need something and can't get it. And by then, it's just too late. So we've been recommending All Family Pharmacy for a while now, and this is exactly why. They're the independent American pharmacy that helps you stay stocked and prepared. So they carry hard-to-find medications like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, mebendazole, methylene blue, and NAD+, along with more than 400 everyday prescriptions for blood pressure, thyroid, diabetes, and more. And they make it simple, because if you already have a prescription, your doctor can send it straight to them. If you don't have one, you go online, you fill out a quick form, a licensed doctor reviews it, and if appropriate, they handle the prescription and it ships right to your door. So this is about being prepared before you need, and also not scrambling after the fact. So the people who have what they need in a crisis are the ones who simply planned ahead. So you don't have to wait until the shelves are empty. You can get ahead of it now. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN to search for what you and your family might need and save that 10% at checkout when you use that RSBN10 promo code. All right, let's go to one of our other great sponsors here on rightsidecalci.com/RSBN. Of course, there's 3 ways to get to Calci. The QR code that you see on the bottom of your screen, or you can go and download the Calci app. A lot of people doing that, more than 1 million users on this site here. And then also you can go to calci.com/RSBN. And there's a little prize for you there if you go to the calci.com/RSBN. So if you like to bet or trade or simply check out polls, you can do that right there at Calci. A lot of questions a lot of people are wondering about and putting money on the line for. One that's been for probably more than 50 days at this point is, when will the DHS shutdown stop? So it's still a partial government shutdown. And if we have time, we're going to go back to the White House. The White House Deputy Press Secretary Abigail Jackson spoke about this in an interview with us on Friday. But yeah, that's still happening. Today, guess what, is the day that Congress is supposed to return to Washington, D.C. So will this DHS shutdown stop? Will the Save America Act pass? There's a lot that has to be done in order for that to happen. But anyway, if you'd like to check out all the different topics, science, sports, technology, faith, all kinds of stuff right there, calci.com/RSBN. All right, it's 1:18, Monday, April 13th. Let's do this as we take that live look at the great Thomas Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C. President Trump received a DoorDash order at the White House today, again, to celebrate no tax on tips. He held a mini press conference right after. Let's go to clip 10.
We're having a fight at the White House on June 14th, and we're going to have an arena built right at the front door.
Wow.
And you know, if you want, is your husband up to coming, do you think? Does he like UFC?
He might.
If he's feeling good, we'll make sure you come, okay?
That would be wonderful.
That's
Thank
better
you.
than the tip I just gave you, I'll tell you. That's a lot better. But no, if he's feeling good, right?
Yeah.
Is he doing okay? Is he going to be okay?
He's doing very well. He's doing very well. He actually, during the process, he wrote a book. And
Go ahead, give him the name. Maybe it's...
he hasn't had it published yet, but it's a book on humility, and his name is Leo, and he's just
Good guy.
doing good. He's doing great.
How long are you married?
We have been married for 6 years,
Oh, that's
but
good.
we've,
Okay.
you know, like most people, we've been together for over 10. So
That's very good.
yeah.
Well, that's very nice to say hello to him. He's going to be good. Okay, he's going to get better, and he's going to be good.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
I want to thank you all, and I especially want to thank you for being here.
Well, I want to thank you,
Thank you very
for
much.
the no tax on tips.
Oh, that's good.
It has helped my family out immensely, and I definitely appreciate it.
It's
Thank you.
so nice.
If the deal is not reached by the end of the ceasefire, does your threat from before still stand?
Yeah, I don't want to comment on that, but it won't be pleasant for them. Let me put it that way.
Do you still plan?
All right, so we're going to get some more context from that moment there outside the Oval Office. So the White House press secretary, Carolyn Levitt, got video of the DoorDash delivery, saying on X, quote, President Trump just received a McDonald's delivery order from a DoorDash driver outside the Oval Office. She says, thanks to President Trump signing no tax on tips into law, Sharon is using the $11,000 in tips that she made last year to support her family. Let's take a look at that clip.
Oh, that's very nice. Look at this. This doesn't look staged, does it?
They're all your favorites.
That's right. He's a good. DoorDash is doing a good job. So, the reason for this is the fact that I heard you picked up an extra $11,000 at the end you did because the tax bill was so big.
So if you're just joining us, this all happened within the past, not even hour, but in the past 30 minutes outside the White House there. Is obviously the mobile camera out there shifts around a bit as we're live, just checking out various spots. I believe the MLK Jr. Statue, the memorial, is right in that area. And of course, we sometimes see the Thomas Jefferson Memorial, the Capitol building, the White House. But outside of that, speaking of the White House, a DoorDash delivery just to the Oval Office. President Trump held a mini press conference right there as well, as some of the press caught what was going on, and that's what you saw there. So in the meantime, Let's do this. The vice president was in Pakistan over the weekend. He was leading that team of negotiators to hopefully come to some sort of agreement to end this whole thing in Iran. Here's what the second most powerful person in the U.S. government had to say about how the talks went during a press conference.
We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
Precisely what have they rejected here? Can you help us understand it a little bit?
Well, I won't go into all the details because I don't want to negotiate in public after we negotiated for 21 hours in private. But the simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations. Again, their nuclear program, such as it is, the enrichment facilities that they had before, they've been destroyed. But the simple question is, do we see a fundamental commitment of will for the Iranians not to develop a nuclear weapon, not just now, not just 2 years from now, but for the long term? We haven't seen that yet. We hope that we will.
And coming up at 1:30 Eastern, a retired Navy SEAL, Bill Brown, will join us once again to talk to us all about the Strait of Hormuz, the blockade that, of course, from our government, the United States military, is taking care of that right now. So we're going to talk to him about it. We're going to go through a number of Truth Social posts from the president, as well as we look at a few of our sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, including Birch Gold Group. So when the dollar's convertibility into gold ended in 1971, gold was fixed at $35 an ounce. If you fast forward to today, the U.S. dollar has lost over 85% of its purchasing power. And gold, on the other hand, has increased in value by more than, get this, 12,000%. So that's why these, central banks and others out there, they're buying gold at record levels. Here at RSBN, we encourage you to consider diversifying your savings with physical gold from Birch Gold Group. But it starts with education. Birch Gold just announced their Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. So this is a free online event that rewards you for learning the basics of investing in precious metals. So you could sign up to get some free silver on your next purchase. Get even larger incentives as you go. So it's basically the more you learn, the more you can earn. But you must act now, as this special event only runs through April 30th. The dollar lost its anchor in 1971. You don't have to lose yours. All you have to do is text the word Trump to 989898 to join Birch Gold's Learn and Earn Precious Metals event by April 30th. Text Trump to 989898 today. All right, let's go to Rumble Wallet as well. You can tip your favorite creators with crypto, obviously through the digital means as well when it comes to cash. Same difference right there with crypto. So let's talk about that. A number of people just started using Rumble Wallet. I recently actually downloaded to check it out myself, and this is how it all works. If you've ever been curious about buying and investing in crypto, Bitcoin, stable coins, USAT, or even gold-backed stable coins, but felt like it was too complicated, Rumble Wallet is an easy way to get started. So you can buy, sell, and manage your cryptocurrencies all in one place. And the app is super straightforward. What really makes Rumble Wallet unique is that you can actually use it to tip your favorite creators like our network here and support the Freedom First community we've built here on Rumble. Getting started is simple. Just download the Rumble Wallet app, sign up with your existing Rumble account. So there's no need for a new login. You complete a few of the security steps and you're set up in just minutes. So you could start with just a few dollars. And with this new thing called MoonPay, built into Rumble Wallet, you could actually easily buy crypto using your credit card, debit card, or bank wire. So if you've been thinking about the advantages of crypto, download Rumble Wallet now. And you can click our link in the description or search Rumble Wallet in your app store. Download Rumble Wallet today and move your assets to where they belong, in your hands, in your control. Rumble Wallet is a technology provider only and not a custodial service. You can see terms at wallet.rumble.com. Great sponsor here, Rumble Wallet and Birch Gold and All Family Pharmacy, Cove Pure, all of them. Great to have them with us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, it's about the bottom of the hour, approaching that here on this Monday, April 13th. Hope you had a good weekend. We know that Congress is getting back into Washington, D.C., so back to Capitol Hill. And again, hopefully the DHS shutdown, the partial government shutdown, that'll get taken care of so we can have full systems go. And then on top of that, the Save America Act, still something that many people are saying we still want that passed. We're not forgetting about saving America, especially when it comes to our elections. All right, let's go to a number of things, including this week. Coming up on Thursday, President Trump will be in Nevada for an event, and we'll have coverage, of course. And then the next day, the president will be in Arizona for a TPUSA event, for a speech there. We'll have coverage from Arizona, boots on the ground there. Looking forward to bringing you live coverage there, including as Robert McNeely speaks with a number of great patriots outside of the event. So we'll have that. And then, of course, in May, the president will travel to China to meet with President Xi Jinping on May 14th and the 15th. There will be that reciprocal visit in Washington later this year. And might as well talk about June 14th, Flag Day. There will be that huge UFC event on the South Lawn of the White House. If you guys saw the president in Miami over the weekend, walking in with Dana White, the CEO of UFC. And then, of course, on July 4th, our country turns 250 years young. And then, of course, the other big date, November 3rd, the United States midterm election. So a lot to be seen, covered, witnessed here in this 2026 as we now dive into the top story of the day. Again, there's a lot of top stories, but this is definitely one of them. As we look at the Strait of Hormuz taken from marine traffic, and we are going to watch how the blockade goes, especially there in the Middle East. Of course, the United States, under the direction of President Trump, saying, quote, Iran's Navy is laying at the bottom of the sea, completely obliterated, 158 ships. What we have not hit are their small number of what they call fast attack ships, because we did not consider them much of a threat. Now, President Trump on Truth Social saying, warning, if any of these ships come anywhere close to our blockade, they will be immediately eliminated using the same system of kill that we used against the drug dealers on boats at sea. It is quick and brutal, the president says. He also says, P.S., 98.2% of drugs coming into the U.S. by ocean or sea have stopped. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. So that was a post from earlier today as you're looking at, again, taken from Marine Traffic. Great app there, a great site that, can check it all out. It's just kind of like, Flight Radar 24 or the different flight trackers that are out there. Well, this one obviously for marine traffic, everything in the water. That is what we're seeing pretty much earlier today, but still in that region of the Strait of Hormuz. So we're going to monitor all of that. Also at about 1:30, a minute from now, Bill Brown is joining us. Let's go to him actually now. It looks like he may be there live. Bill Brown joining us, a retired Navy SEAL, to talk to us more about this Strait of Hormuz blockade. First, sir, thank you again for your service. Thanks for joining us once again. But can you talk to us about what you're seeing from your perspective, especially since you were in the Navy?
Well, the first thing is, I don't think we can say it enough. President Trump has had a great victory for our nation, and not just for our nation, but humanity. We're talking about the world's #1 sponsor of horror and terror. No longer has the capabilities to have weaponized nuclear weapons. That is a great victory for humanity. That's a great victory for our nation, considering the fact that Iran had known 25 submarines plus before Operation Epic Fury. So I don't think people can really understand what a great moment this is for our nation and for humanity. If you could go back in time and take off Adolf Hitler, that's exactly what we would do. Everyone would say, hey, that's exactly the right move. If we could go back in time and take out Osama bin Laden, everybody would say, you know what, before 9/11, that's exactly the right move. When you're talking about the IRGC having nuclear capabilities, that was a tragedy of an epic scale, mass scale on humanity that President Trump's courage has stopped. That's the #1 thing. Now, when we talk about the different steps he's done to ensure peace through on a global scale, let's talk about the different operations he's done with his campaign of squeezing and negotiating from strength. So the first thing is they took out the IRGC leadership. The next thing they did is they took out their military. They took out their offensive capabilities. The IRGC's Navy is now at the bottom of the Arabian Gulf. All right, let's talk about what he's doing now. Right now, so what he did is he said, hey, let's try to have a ceasefire. Let's try to come to some type of compromise so we can have global society, can have commercial traffic through one of the most vital choke points and shipping lanes on the planet. And so he's trying to have a ceasefire. And at the same time, what does he do? He tries to have negotiations. But Trump sees through the BS. And so did J.D. Vance and his team. And they realized what was happening at Islamabad, which is a delay and exhaust tactic that the IRGC has fooled many presidents before, not working on President Trump. So what does he do? He still maintains a ceasefire, but he shifts tactics. Now, guess what he does? He's using their own strategy, basically the blockade, the Strait of Hormuz, against them. Now he's going to have a blockade against the Strait. Now, what is this really? It's really an economic squeeze, because what he's doing now is he's done the military squeeze, and now he's doing the economic squeeze. And I believe that the economic squeeze is the death knell for the IRGC. And I believe what President Trump is doing is actually a twofold kind of front. First, he'll blockade, he'll economically squeeze. And if the blockade isn't successful relatively soon in getting the negotiations that we want, that's best for humanity and that's best for the global shipping trade, to make sure that 20% of the world's oil supply is not held hostage by a terrorist IGC toll, is that if the blockade's unsuccessful, I believe the next move will be a greater financial squeeze, and that'll be the death knell of the IRGC. He's going to take, I believe that he will take out the Carg Island. And why that will be such a vital, pivotal moment in this whole campaign, pressure tactic campaign, is this. Without the IRGC, without Carg Island, they don't have the ability to raise funds. They don't have the ability to pay IRGC patronage jobs. If those soldiers aren't getting paid, they're likely not going to be as loyal to the IRGC. They also won't have the ability to, guess what, to fund their terror proxies. If they don't have the ability to fund their terror proxies, guess what? Their terror proxies, the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas, very less likely to be as loyal to the IRGC. If they don't have the ability to generate revenue, they won't have the ability to, guess what, to basically fund new missiles. What's threatened our minds, what's threatened basically global commerce and stability around the world. So what Trump's doing is a beautiful thing. Well, number one, he's sending a message. We're not going to do the rope to dope on BS negotiations that we know are going nowhere. We have the power and we're going to use it. And now here's the first step. The first step is the blockade. You thought you were going to blockade the Strait of Hormuz? No, we will. And the next step is, guess what? We will take out your economic artery and we'll end this. Because any AI simulation will show the same results. If you take Carg Island off the chessboard, guess what? They will economically explode. That's their economic artery. So right now, basically what Trump's doing is he's put a temporary tourniquet on their ability to generate revenue by this blockade. But if that's unsuccessful in negotiations relatively soon, I thoroughly believe that the next step is the end game.
So we'll see what happens there. And I was looking at a map of the Strait of Hormuz earlier, and obviously if this is the Strait, you see Iran has a number of ports right here, and then Carg Island, I believe, would be that dot of that island you're referring to. But what I'm wondering is, all right, so if that were to be taken off the map, then the other ports, though, it's kind of a confusing thing. I think Americans are looking at, okay, what does a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz actually mean? Can you just break it down for us on the most simplest terms?
Sure. So basically what the blockade is doing is it's stopping all ships all basically heavy tankers that are coming in and out of Iranian ports from leaving the Arabian Gulf. So basically, it's not a financial incentive for any foreign companies to basically try to get cheap oil from Iran or the IRGC when they know they will not be able to leave. Guess what? They won't be able to leave the Arabian Gulf. So that's a big deterrence for them. It's a big deterrence for any foreign nationals or foreign companies that are looking for some cheap oil. Not going to happen. So what that does is it turns off this spigot on basically Iran's control to generate revenue. The other thing they're doing is currently Iran is basically, the IRGC is putting out a terror tax on all shipping heavy tankers that are shipping in and out of there. And basically what the American Navy and American military is now doing is basically they're putting an end to that as well, which is going to stop another revenue generating source for the IRGC.
So to the west of the Strait of Hormuz, of course, the Persian Gulf there with other Gulf nations. So those ships are still able to get through the strait. We're talking about just Iranian oil tankers is the blockade. Am I right?
That's correct. The goal is not to interrupt with global shipping. It's actually the adverse. The goal is to ensure that the IRGC cannot impose basically and hold hostage that vital global shipping lane. And so how do we do that? Number one is we ensure that any offensive capabilities from the IRGC are basically negated, so they can't impose on that basically terror attacks on foreign ships. And then number two, the goal is to ensure that they can't generate revenue because any of their heavy tankers or any foreign entities or foreign companies that are doing business with the IRGC, basically, they won't be able to leave the Strait of Hormuz.
And then finally, President Trump speaking on Truth Social about these smaller attack boats that, he was saying that really wasn't an issue, but now if they start approaching, now with these attack boats, if there are any, when it comes to the Iranians, are they going to be, would they try and take out certain, just interfere with the oil tankers of other countries trying to pass through? Is that your understanding as well? And then we saw that President Trump said he basically would take them out just like the ones that were coming up from Venezuela, if we remember what that looks like.
That's right. So, and I liked your previous report, and you showed how basically President Trump's and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth's military operations created this deterrence effect with the narco drug traffickers, and basically now it's significantly decreased. Well, these type of actions, military operations, will absolutely have a significant deterrence effect with these basically fast boats with the IRGC, because once we start posting videos of them getting destroyed, they'll be very hesitant to try to intercept and interfere with global commercial traffic.
It's quite something to see the world's attention right there specifically on the Persian Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, and how this affects global markets, oil, and all the things. Retired Navy SEAL Bill Brown, thanks for your insight and your service, and also breaking it down for us.
It's an honor to be here, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Awesome. All right. Well, we have to get some context, right? And why not go to somebody that was in the Navy? And we got that there from Bill Brown, a retired Navy SEAL who joined us just last week as well, telling us about just his time in the military, now with the Parlator Law Group here in the States. Let's go to a few of our sponsors in the meantime as we get ready to go to some of President Trump's recent events where he was speaking with some of the people there outside the White House. I'll show you that in just a second. Cove Pier is on the screen, as you see, and you've heard us talk about Cove Pier before. And if those water scares in Flint, Michigan, or East Palestine, Ohio weren't enough to get you to make the switch, well, this might, because more than 176 million people are drinking tap water with PFAs in it. It's those man-made chemicals used in food packaging, non-stick cookware, firefighting foam. Scientists call them forever chemicals. That doesn't sound good. I don't want any forever chemicals, you know what I mean? Because once they're in your body, the reason why they call it that is because they stay there. They don't break down. They're linked to hormone disruption, immune damage, increased cancer risk. But here's the part that makes a number of people upset. The EPA is actually setting legal limits for PFAS in drinking water. That happened in 2024, but the water systems have until 2031 to comply. So that's 5 whole years from now. And until that deadline arrives, a utility can be operating above the legal limit right now and isn't required to notify you. So you're just drinking that water. Well, that's why every single household needs Cove Pure. The government knows these chemicals are harmful enough to regulate. They're just not making anyone act on it quite yet. So if you want clean, healthy water with no tap water aftertaste, it's not good to taste that, right? You have to do this all yourself. And Cove Pure was engineered exactly for this. Unlike those normal pitcher filters that you get out there at the store, their Clearwave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. So those PFAS, heavy metals, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, the filtering particles that are hundreds of thousands of times smaller than a single human hair. And the best part about Cove Pure is they actually make it so easy. It sits right on your countertop, so you don't have to drill any holes or call someone in to install this whole thing. You just plug it in. You can even get whatever temperature water you want, hot, cold, or warm, with the tap of a button. So don't wait till 2031. Take control of your water quality right now. Head to covepure.com/RSBN, because if you're a viewer of this broadcast, you'll get $250 off right now. That's covepure.com/RSBN. Great sponsor here on Right Side. Also, are you getting all of the benefits you deserve from your Medicare Advantage plan? Many people, unfortunately, don't realize their plan may include valuable extras that can save you thousands of dollars every year. So you call that number on the screen. You can see if you qualify, 877-664-8133. So with the right Medicare Advantage plan, you can actually receive a gym membership at no cost to help you stay active and healthy. If you need a ride, many plans include transportation services with up to 60 rides per year to your doctor's appointments or pharmacy. Some plans also offer meal delivery programs with up to 20 meals delivered each year at no cost. It's perfect after maybe a hospital stay or when you just need a little extra help. You may also qualify for an over-the-counter allowance of up to $800 per year for everyday essentials like vitamins, first aid supplies, cold and flu medications, and dental hygiene products. And that's not all, because certain plans provide a grocery card with up to $3,600 per year to help pay for healthy food and household essentials. So call that number you see on your screen there, 877-664-8133, to see if you qualify. And again, the big question, are you taking advantage of everything your plan offers? So you can call them today. A licensed agent is standing by and will review your options and help make sure you're getting every benefit available to you. Call 877-664-8133 to speak with a licensed Medicare Advantage plan agent. All right, 1:44, Monday, April 13th. Thanks again for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Let's do this. Let's go to the top of the broadcast where we saw the president a few times speaking to the press, but specifically today, he received a DoorDash order. Is actually McDonald's on the way to the Oval Office. Yeah, you heard that right. This is all for the no tax on tips. So let's go to clip number 10A, actually. This is Carolyn Levitt got video of this whole thing that went down just moments ago.
Oh, that's very nice. Look at this. This doesn't look staged, does it?
They're all your favorites.
That's right. These are good. DoorDash is doing a good job. So the reason for this is the fact that I heard you picked up an extra $11,000 at the end of it because the tax bill was so big.
And then right after that, the press was actually right in that area. They also asked him some questions. We have a couple of clips from that in clip number 10.
We're having a fight at the White House on June 14th, and we're going to have an arena built right at the front door.
Wow.
And you know, if you want, is your husband up to coming, do you think? Does he like UFC?
He might.
If he's feeling good, we'll make sure you come, okay?
That would be wonderful.
That's
Thank
better
you.
than the tip I just gave you. That's a lot better. But no, if he's feeling good, right?
Yeah.
Is he doing okay? Is he going to be okay?
He's doing very well. He's doing very well. He actually, during the process, he wrote a book, And
Go ahead, give him the name. Maybe it's.
he hasn't had it published yet, but it's a book on humility, and his name is Leo, and he's just
Good guy.
doing good. He's doing great.
How long are you married?
We have been married for 6 years.
That's
But
good.
we've,
Okay.
like most people, we've been together for over 10. So
That's very good.
Yeah.
Well, that's very nice to say hello to him. He's going to be good. Okay, he's going to get better, and he's going to be good.
yes, sir.
Good.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
I want to thank you all, and I especially want to thank you for being here.
Well, I want to thank you
Thank you very
for
much.
the no tax on tips.
Oh, that's good.
It has helped my family out immensely, and I definitely appreciate it. Thank
It's
you.
so nice.
If the deal is not reached by the end of the ceasefire, does your threat from before still stand?
Yeah, I don't want to comment on that, but it won't be pleasant for them. Let me put it that way.
Do you still plan?
All right, so that happened just within the past hour, and obviously playing a few of those clips right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And for those of you that are just joining us, whether you're watching on RSBN's home Rumble or YouTube or X or wherever you're watching, maybe the app, thanks again for joining us. Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. So let's begin our broadcast once again with the latest with the Operation Epic Fury and the U.S. implemented blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, as seen on Truth Social over the weekend, President Trump has ordered the U.S. Navy to blockade Iran's ports in the Strait of Hormuz beginning today. That time was specifically about 3 hours ago, 3 hours and 47 minutes ago, so it was 10 a.m. Eastern time. Iran says the blockade is, quote, piracy, and vowed to respond with, quote, decisive force if it is put into place. Well, it's been put into place. So we're monitoring the latest developments within that global situation as it develops, including the latest from the Commander-in-Chief via Truth Social, which I could share with you right now. So President Trump said Iran's Navy is laying at the bottom of the sea, completely obliterated. 158 ships. What we have not hit are their small number of what they call fast attack ships, because we did not consider them much of a threat. President Trump says, warning, if any of these ships come anywhere close to our blockade, they will be immediately eliminated using the same system of kill that we used during the drug dealers on boats at sea. You remember all of that coming up from Venezuela. The president says it is quick and brutal. And he also says, P.S., 98.2% of drugs coming into the U.S. by ocean or sea have been stopped. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So the president speaking about a couple items there. One, the Strait of Hormuz, the blockade, specifically these fast attack ships. And then two, talking about the narco-terrorists. Remember all of those ships trying to come up, or the small attack ships carrying at least specifically drugs, maybe not so much of an attack ship, but they were attacked by our government. You saw a lot of those videos of these people trying to bring drugs into the United States. And I remember President Trump saying the amount of drugs that were on these small vessels can kill upwards of 25,000 Americans. So two things being talked about there by the president. Also, we're going to be here for yet another hour. We're going to have Robert McNeely in studio in about 10 minutes or so. Speaking of Robert, he'll be in Arizona coming up this Friday, as President Trump will be speaking in Arizona. So we'll have kind of that RSBN Rally Day feel on a Friday. So it'll be great to hear from we the people out there in the Grand Canyon State. Now, the day before that, on Thursday, the president will be in Nevada for a roundtable. I believe it's going to be about the no tax on tips as well, which he just had a mini event, of course, at the White House today with that DoorDash order right to the Oval Office. If you're just joining us, we'll play that clip again in just a minute. Let's go to a few of our sponsors before we do. Let's go to, I believe I heard All Family Pharmacy, so there you go. With everything going on in the world right now, supply chain issues, global instability, shortages that not many are talking about, your access to medication is just something that should be top of mind. And most people don't think about it until they need something and can't get it. So, and by then, obviously, it's just too late. So we've been recommending All Family Pharmacy for a while now, and this is exactly why. They're an independent American pharmacy that helps you stay stocked and prepared. They carry hard-to-find medications like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, mebendazole, methylene blue. How about NAD+, along with more than 400 everyday prescriptions for blood pressure and thyroid, diabetes, and more. And they make this whole process simple. If you already have a prescription, your doctor can actually just send it to them. If you don't have one, and specifically a prescription, you can go online, go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You'll fill out a quick form. A licensed doctor reviews it, and if appropriate, they handle the prescription and it ships right to your door. So this is about being prepared before you need it and not scrambling after the fact. The people who have what they need in a crisis are the ones who simply planned ahead. So you don't have to wait until the shelves are empty. You can get ahead of it right now with allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Just search for what you and your family might need and save 10% at checkout when you use the RSBN 10 promo code. All right, it's 1:51. Let's go to Tax Network USA, 877-479-6503. Some specifics here. As you guys know, it's tax season. And here we go. Are you ready? I have a few questions for you, as some are filing today, tomorrow, and obviously the 15th deadline's in 2 days unless you get an extension, but still. Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? Or have you filed every year but still keep owing? Did you retire and suddenly get hit with a tax bill that you didn't expect? How about, are you a business owner with some messy books and a balance you can't afford? Or maybe you pulled money from your 401k or IRA early and now the IRS wants its share. So however your tax issues started, the outcome is the same. Your balance just not going down, penalties growing, interest compounds, and a number of people are about to owe again for this upcoming tax year with no plan in place. So you can stop what you're doing now, give them a call, 877-479-6503, tnusa.com/RSBN, because as you know, the IRS, they're not waiting. The IRS is actually enforcing some collections through wage garnishments, bank levies, and property seizures. They can even file for you without your consent. This is where Tax Network USA comes in. With more than 15 years in business, there hasn't been a tax case they haven't seen or resolved. They specialize in tax controversies and help taxpayers nationwide get back on track by resolving back taxes and unfiled returns once and for all. So whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million. Their team has resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. And they can do the same for you, but you have to call now. They are offering a free investigation call with the IRS. After the investigation, they put a clear case plan in place to resolve your tax problem and get you back on track. So this is about using your legal rights to take control before the government sets the terms for you. So don't wait for another IRS letter or a frozen bank account. Just call them there at that number you see on your screen, 877-479-6503. That's 877-479-6503, or visit tnusa.com/RSBN. You can click the link below as well on Rumble, on YouTube, on X, wherever you're watching with us. Thanks so much for doing so. It's 1:54, Monday, April 13th. If you're just joining us, President Trump actually received a DoorDash order, specifically McDonald's in that DoorDash order. This is all about the no tax on tips. So let's go back to clip 10A, where White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt actually caught this on camera, as well as the DoorDash delivery driver was able to access the White House. I'm sure they had some Secret Service clearance for all of that. Of course they did. But let's look at clip 10A.
Oh, that's very nice. Look at this. This doesn't look staged, does it?
They're all your favorites.
That's right. These are good. DoorDash is doing a good job. So the reason for this is the fact that I heard you picked up an extra $11,000 that you did because the tax bill was so big.
All right, I know there's a million stories going on out there, but if we have to talk about it, let's talk about it quickly. McDonald's, Burger King, what's your favorite? Do you like the Whopper? Do you like the Big Mac? I know that RFK Jr. would not be happy with me talking about this. I did try the other day, because sometimes it's hard not to try a new thing when it comes to food. That Arch Burger, do you remember the CEO of McDonald's? You know, the Arch Burger? Anyway, I tried it. I'm not going to review it here. It's pretty good, but that's all I'll say. Anyway, 1:55, Monday, April 13th. So after that event happened there, President Trump actually received that DoorDash order, and then there were some reporters right there, and they asked him a few questions, and he was talking about a number of things. So let's just catch up with that right now with clip number 10.
We're having a fight at the White House on June 14th, and we're going to have an arena built right at the front door.
Oh, wow.
And you know, if you want, is your husband up to coming, do you think? Does he like UFC?
He might.
If he's feeling good, we'll make sure you come, okay?
That would be wonderful.
That's
Thank
better
you.
than the tip I just gave you, I'll tell you. That's a lot better. But no, he's feeling good, right?
Yeah.
Is he doing okay? Is he going to be okay?
He's doing very well. He's doing very well. He actually, during the process, he wrote a book. And
go ahead, give him the name. Maybe it's.
He hasn't had it published yet, but it's a book on humility, and his name is Leo, and he's just
good guy.
Doing good. He's doing great.
How long are you married?
We have been married for 6 years.
Oh, that's good.
But we've, like most people, we've been together for over 10. So
that's very good. Yeah. Well, that's very nice to say hello to him. He's going to be good. Okay, he's going to get better, and he's going to be good.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes,
well,
sir.
I want to thank you all, and I especially want to thank you for being here.
Well, I want to thank you.
Thank you very
for
much.
The no tax on tips.
Oh, that's good.
It has helped my family out immensely, and I definitely appreciate it.
It's so nice.
If the deal is not reached by the end of the ceasefire, does your threat from before still stand?
Yeah, I don't want to comment on that, but it won't be pleasant for them. Let me put it that way.
Do you still plan?
In context, of course, talking about the Iranians, if they're going to try and use some of these smaller ships in the Strait of Hormuz. These are small attack boats. But anyway, so hopefully you enjoyed the past hour of our coverage. Coming up next, Robert McNeely will be in studio. In the meantime, let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. mypillow.com/RSBN. If you're looking to save money at the warehouse moving sale, you can. A lot of great products there, of course. Save up to 80% using that promo code RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, just go to rsbnetwork.com/donate if you'd like to donate to Right Side as we continue to grow and expand here. And also, the money that goes towards various things, including our upcoming trip to Arizona for President Trump's speech there at a TPUSA event that'll be happening this coming Friday. Of course, we'll have full coverage on Friday and a lot of news from now until then. All right, it's 1:58. Why don't we just do this? I was going to air an interview, but we have enough time. We're going to just do a commercial break, and then Robert McNeely will be right here in studio. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Where the pines sway free, Chuck Adams grabbed his clubs about 9:15. Every Thursday morning, rain or shine, he's headed to the course with some golf on his mind.
And good afternoon. Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thank you to Matthew Alvarez for the great coverage earlier today as we cover the latest from the Trump White House and a big weekend. The president in Charlottesville, Virginia, down to Miami, Florida for the UFC 327. We saw that Secretary of State Marco Rubio with his boys there to enjoy that with President Trump and Ivanka Trump, also Tiffany Trump and her wonderful husband on hand for that great all-American fight. Dana White leading out with the president out of the tunnel, and Joe Rogan on hand to make some commentary as well. It's become quite an American pastime over the course of the presidential tenure, but President Trump has always enjoyed the fighting scene, whether it is in boxing and the UFC, and important notions on Islamabad, Pakistan, what's going on there with those negotiations. They have fallen through the big key personnel item on that: no nuclear weapons, not adhered to. So now the blockade, relatively in about 4 hours, ongoing 4 hours and 1 minute, the U.S.-led blockade there. Each ship going in and out having to have that checkpoint. Now, the big issue there in the Strait is the mining issue. We know the UK and the United States, among other so-called allies, do have those mine sweepers. Will the UK and others be able to assist in those matters? We'll watch this closely as it's all developing, and the president been very firm on that as he's enjoying some DoorDash this morning. No tax on tips for those hardworking Americans. We do have playback from the Vice President of the United States in Islamabad, Pakistan, in its entirety from those Saturday negotiations that did not succeed. But as a result of those terms not being met, that blockade now in place on this Monday, April 13th. And if Mr. Producer, that is ready, we can toss to that now. The Vice President in Islamabad, Pakistan.
We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
And as the situation continues with Operation Epic Fury, it's been very clear that we have defeated them militarily, and debate going on throughout the country. But we could start at the top with what President Trump is saying on Truth Social. A gorgeous shot there this spring day in Washington, D.C. of the Thomas Jefferson Memorial with number one, the blockade. The United States is blockading ships entering or exiting Iranian ports on this April 13th as of 4 hours and 3 minutes ago at 10 o'clock Eastern. Thank you for your attention to this matter. As we've seen the years of service in that debate, is it really those on Capitol Hill or within the White House that caused the most damage over their so-called service? President Trump sharing this photo with cut number 2, 40 years in office. Crazy Bernie Sanders from Vermont, as well as 52 years in office, Chuck Schumer, who President Trump once long ago went to one of his county board race or elections in which he was successful, as they've known each other in Manhattan for a long time now. And there's Sleepy Joe with his ice cream cone, 50 years in office. President Trump only 5 years in office, and so many promises kept, promises made and promises kept in that process. So as we watch for details and humor across the social media accounts, we are also having in its entirety Vice President VP Vance's comments from Islamabad on Saturday for your viewing pleasure.
Well, good morning, everybody. And let me say a couple of notes of appreciation. First of all, to the Prime Minister of Pakistan and to Field Marshal Munir, who were both incredible hosts. And whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis, who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement. And I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could. And they have chosen not to accept our terms. Questions?
Sir, Nick Robertson from CNN. Precisely what have they rejected here? Can you help us understand it a little bit?
Well, I won't go into all the details because I don't want to negotiate in public after we negotiated for 21 hours in private. But the simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations. Again, their nuclear program, such as it is, the enrichment facilities that they had before, they've been destroyed. But the simple question is, do we see a fundamental commitment of will for the Iranians not to develop a nuclear weapon, not just now, not just 2 years from now, but for the long term? We haven't seen that yet. We hope that we will. Jen.
Was there a framework on anything? And also, did the Iranian frozen assets come up? And did you reach any conclusions on those frozen assets?
We talked about all those issues, Jen, and we talked about a number of issues beyond that. And so certainly those things came up. But again, we just could not get to a situation where the Iranians were willing to accept our terms. I think that we were quite flexible. We were quite accommodating. The president told us, you need to come here in good faith and make your best effort to get a deal. We did that. And unfortunately, we weren't able to make any headway. Preston.
Mr. Vice President, how often did you communicate with President Trump throughout the negotiations? There were reports that there were multiple rounds where there were breaks in between negotiations. How often did you communicate with the president throughout those rounds, and what was he saying as you were going through these negotiations that you said fell short?
Yeah, obviously we were talking to the president consistently. I don't know how many times we talked to him, a half dozen times, a dozen times over the past 21 hours. We obviously also talked to Admiral Cooper, to Pete, to Marco, to the entire national security team. We talked to Scott Bessent a number of times. So look, we were constantly in communication with the team because we were negotiating in good faith. And we leave here with a very simple proposal, a method of understanding that is our final and best offer. We'll see if the Iranians accept it. Thank you.
Mr. President, where does this leave the Strait of Hormuz?
Are we going back to war?
And with everything going on in the world right now, it's so important to focus on your health and life-saving medications as global supply chains affected by this Operation Epic Fury, but also global instability and debate happening, as you saw there with the discussions from Islamabad, Pakistan. Steve Witkoff, our special envoy, and the 50th Vice President of the United States, VP Vance, knows a thing or two about shortages that can happen as a result of what's taking place to stop an evil regime. So your access to medication, really smart to have, regardless if this is happening around the world or not. And most people don't think about it until they actually need something. So you go to the long lines with the urgent care to the doctor's office and everything in between. And then it takes up many, many hours. And also, you are sick and just not feeling well in the process. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN gives you 10% off site-wide using code RSBN10. That's RSBN10 for antibiotics to antivirals, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, mebendazole, methylene blue, NAD+, and nasal sprays. Big this time of year as we are in the middle of spring, but also cold and flu season still bothering people across the country, as a bad one this year during 2026. So make sure you have that Tamiflu on hand, as 400 everyday medications available to you at All Family Pharmacy. In addition to that, maintenance meds. So if you're going through blood pressure, thyroid, diabetes issues, anything like that, good to have these on hand at home or with you when you are traveling. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, the way to go. They make it simple. If you have a prescription, your doctor sends that into their U.S. licensed doctor to review, and it's sent right back to your door. So nice and easy and convenient. Go ahead and scan that QR code now. No middleman in the process. So just send that on in, and again, they'll review it, send it back to your door. No insurance, no red tape, no bureaucracy. It's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Also, Kalshi.com/RSBN. Congratulations to Rory McIlroy, only the fourth man to go back-to-back in the Masters Championship, as I'm sure you watched yesterday. Did you place your bets, though, on Kalshi.com/RSBN, the trending political market right now? 2028, who will be the Republican nominee? Will it be the 50th Vice President, the 72nd Secretary of State, a Texas Senator, perhaps the governor of the free Sunshine State of Florida, or someone else. Make that trade and bet right now on music, sports, culture, politics, and more. Trade on the most important events at kalshi.com/RSBN. A lovely time to have fun with that as we go deeper into 2026 and pivotal midterms coming up. We'll be on the road with you this week. President Trump as well, meeting with the King and Queen of the Netherlands along with the First Lady later today. And in addition to his busy schedule, heading out to Phoenix, Arizona, right after Las Vegas, Nevada, Thursday and Friday. So be sure to catch all of that coverage this week with President Trump and the campaign events happening perhaps in your neck of the woods. May 19th as well. Big primary dates for several states, including right here in the Yellowhammer state of Alabama and the Peach state of Georgia. And many of those, as large as they are, could go to runoff. So we'll watch all of that very closely as we break that down for you right here at the go-to Live Desk Rally Network and your number one source for political events here in America. It's Right Side Broadcasting Network as we cover the latest from the Trump White House and a glorious shot from the Washington Monument over the District of Columbia, and a mall unlike any other. It's one of my favorite cities, and we hope to be back very soon. But that real estate, President Trump took care of that old post office there in Washington, D.C., made it illustrious before the Waldorf Astoria purchased the property. But what about Moon real estate? Perhaps number 3. We could see that picture there. Can you see it? A Trump Tower on the moon. I don't know. Maybe it could happen, as we could showcase that photo now if that's available, Mr. Producer. And it looks pretty nice, I would say. Something a little bit reminiscent if you combine the Las Vegas estate and also the Chicago Trump Tower. Perhaps a mix of the two, or even something as we've seen the Presidential Library forthcoming in Miami, Florida. But a little bit of fun there on True Social, as President Trump has gotten serious when it comes to diplomacy and debate with cut number 4. Pope Leo is weak on crime, terrible on foreign policy. He talks about fear of the Trump administration, but doesn't mention the fear that the Catholic Church and all other Christian organizations had during COVID when they were arresting priests, ministers, and everybody else for holding church services, even when going outside and being 10 to 20 feet apart. I like how his brother Louis much better than I like him, and because Louis is all MAGA. He gets it and Leo doesn't. I don't want a pope who thinks that it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I don't want a pope who thinks it's terrible that America attacked Venezuela, a country that was sending massive amounts of drugs into the United States, and even worse, emptying their prisons, including murderers, drug dealers, and killers, into our country. And I don't want a pope, the President of the United States, because I'm doing exactly what I was doing to be elected in a landslide to do, setting record low numbers in crime, creating the greatest stock market in history. And Leo should be more thankful because, as everyone knows, he was a shocking surprise. He wasn't on any list to be pope and was the only one put there by the church because he was an American. And they thought it would be the best way to deal with President Donald J. Trump. If I wasn't in the White House, Leo wouldn't be in the Vatican. Unfortunately, Leo's weak on crime, weak on nuclear weapons, and does not sit well with me, nor does the fact that he meets with Obama sympathizers like David Axelrod, a loser from the left, was one of those who wanted churchgoers and clerics to be arrested. And Leo should get his act together as Pope, use common sense, stop catering to the radical left, and focus on being a great pope, not a politician. It's hurting him, by the way, and more importantly, it's hurting the Catholic Church. President Donald J. Trump, and as a practicing Catholic myself, I could not agree more with the President of the United States. A great book out there by Archbishop Charles Chaput, Render Unto Caesar. If you do remember, if you were in some of those blue jurisdictions, especially up north, It's one of the reasons why many people moved down to the Southeast, because they were actually given that true freedom of choice to breathe the air, to attend church services, as we were watching people, as the president said, literally being arrested in the English-speaking world, from Canada to Australia, New Zealand, even Ireland, and yes, some places right here in the United States of America. I watched as now the Archbishop of New York was my bishop back in my home diocese of Joliet, Illinois. Listening to Governor J.B. Pritzker and locking down churches for such an extended period of time that it left people idle, it left people lonely, and yes, without the most vital thing that they could do throughout the week, attend church services. So let's not go back that direction. Also, Cardinal Robert McElroy should be ashamed of himself. From Washington, D.C., the Archbishop on 60 Minutes with Norah O'Donnell, speaking to the question of is this a just war? And he said that Catholic doctrine does not teach this to be a just war. As someone who studied this extensively, the Cardinal is completely wrong and should not be listened to. So that's my take on today. It's rather frustrating when you see church officials, again, tend to the far left when you have situations like nuclear war. The last time I checked, Rome is actually within the kilometers of being attacked by Tehran, Iran, a radical Islamic regime. It would be nice to go back to the days of King Baldwin in 1274 and the Crusades that were just wars against radical Islamic terrorism all of those centuries ago. Another story breaking across the channels. Governor Kathy Hochul now in a civil and criminal suit potentially with nuns in Greater Hawthorne. The Dominican order there, who actually they're nurses who tend to cancer patients and those dying, those terminally ill, are not allowed to at the current moment because of the transgender policies affecting the great state of New York. So perhaps Pope Leo should be commenting on those issues rather than this just war to stop a radical Iranian regime. Now back to the news with what's happening inside and outside of the Beltway. Rory McIlroy, cut number 5, a picture of him and his dad with President Trump at Trump International, Palm Beach a few months ago there, last year actually. And a great shot there of the back-to-back Masters champion with the president and Rory's dad from Hollywood, Florida. If you watched any of the Masters coverage, we saw that Jim Nantz said, the legend, I hope they have plenty of Guinness on hand in Hollywood, Florida, as his home club celebrating the now Florida resident, Rory McIlroy. Congratulations, Rory, on back-to-back. Okay, this is only Jack Nicklaus in the 80s, and then 89-90, Nick Faldo, Sir Nick Faldo of the UK, and then Tiger Woods in 2001 and 2002, and Rory McIlroy 2025 to 2026, going back-to-back in the Masters, a feat very difficult to do. And we can actually cut to 7 as well with President Trump congratulating Rory McIlroy in that process. Congratulations to Rory McIlroy on another great championship, the Masters. He performed tremendously under intense pressure, something which few people would be even able to think about doing. With each year, Rory is becoming more and more of a legend, and I look forward to watching him compete in 2 weeks at Doral. The quality of professional golfers today has become extraordinary, each and every one of them, and they shall be proud of the way they played at the Masters this weekend. It's a gem of the United States, a tradition unlike any other, and for us Georgians, something that's quite a gem in our state. So again, congratulations to Rory McIlroy, a wonderful champion from Northern Ireland, but who now resides in the free Sunshine State of Florida. Speaking of freedom, speaking of things that are shiny and gold, Birch Gold Group, the best in the business for the tax-sheltered IRA. Get that free info kit on gold IRAs. This is supported by Steve Bannon and Ben Shapiro. Dr. Ron Paul, the former congressman, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton, and some other great conservative voices out there. As the dollar continues to go down, diversify your savings with gold. Text Trump to 989898 and get all of those options there. With properties ever changing, becoming more expensive, to diversification with things like crypto that are on the horizon, what has always stayed consistent as the dollar has gone down, especially in the last 2 decades? Gold skyrocketing 700% over the course of the last 20 years. Text Trump to 989898. I think the thing that people look at when they're interested in diversifying or having a tax-sheltered IRA or 401k backed by gold, silver, and precious commodities, they think that it's one size fits all. No, not the case. Every shoe size is different. Same with these precious metals. So explore that now and diversify with the best in the business. Birch Gold Group, text Trump to 989898. Also a great way of diversifying, the Rumble wallet, wallet.rumble.com. So you can tip your favorite creators in Tether Gold, Bitcoin, and those cryptocurrencies. You can also use this to make the bets on Kalshi, so they work together very nicely. Download for free now, the Google Play Store or the App Store, where free speech meets financial freedom. It's the Rumble wallet right there, wallet.rumble.com. And really protect yourself, because Rumble deserves our praise. Speaking of the COVID lockdowns and the things that the Pope should be talking about, remember when certain companies could turn you off. They literally can now, whether it's big banks or those who feel that you have the wrong opinion and that you're not somehow on the right side of history. We saw President Trump thrown off of social media accounts like Facebook and Twitter before it became X under Elon Musk back during the first term, and the way they treated those who worked in the administration and private citizens as well, being canceled again for their political beliefs. That's why Rumble thought, well, we fought for free speech online. Let's fight to protect your assets and your savings so that you're not ultimately completely canceled by the matrix and the powers that be. Rumble Wallet provides that. What's so great about this tool, that Rumble cannot even break into their own wallet. So it's so secure for you and yours. Again, tip your favorites like Right Side Broadcasting Network with the gift of crypto. Download for free now, Google Play Store and the App Store. Free speech meeting financial freedom. We are grateful for all of our sponsors here on the right side of history. 2:22 on the East Coast. Still a very good morning to you. 11:22 on that golden West Coast, where Congressman Eric Swalwell really in some seemingly trouble with a very interesting past, to put it lightly, dropping out or suspending his campaign right now for California governor. We know Steve Hilton really surging in the polls there. It's a jungle primary upcoming in June. Can California elect a Republican? They have not done that since Arnold Schwarzenegger, roughly 20 plus years ago. About 24 years ago now, when he was first elected in a recall election. President Trump enjoying the UFC fight in Miami, Florida this weekend, and cut number 6, Costa, one of the best fighters out there, spending some time saying hello to the president and giving his admiration and praise for his presence at UFC 327. Mr. Director, I don't let you do those squats on the road like we saw there at UFC. So that's always a good difference, the difference between sports coverage and political coverage. But the world's colliding over the weekend, really in a festive event. Joe Rogan on hand announcing, and of course the great Dana White putting it all on there in sunny Miami, Florida. Now, let's go back over the last few hours in case you missed over this Divine Mercy Sunday and weekend at the Masters. So much happening in the culture that with cut number 8, Iran promised to open the strait. but President Trump going into detail after those negotiations failing over Saturday. Iran promised to open the Strait of Hormuz, and they knowingly failed to do so. This caused anxiety, desolation, and also dislocation, pain to many people and countries throughout the world. They say they put mines in the water, even though all their military, their Navy, and most of their mine droppers have been completely blown up. They may have done so, but what ship owner would want to take the chance? There is a great dishonor and permanent harm to the reputation of Iran and what's left of their leaders, but we are beyond that. As they promised, they better begin the process of getting this international waterway open and fast. Every law in the book is being violated by them, and I have been fully debriefed by Vice President VP Vance, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner on the meeting that took place in Islamabad through the kind and very competent leadership of Field Marshal Azman Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan. They are very extraordinary men and continuously thank me for saving 30 to 50 million lives in what would have been a horrendous war with India. And I always appreciate hearing that, and the amount of humanity spoken of is incomprehensible. The meeting with Iran began early in the morning and lasted throughout the night, close to 20 hours. I could go into great detail and talk about much of what has been gotten, but there is only one thing that matters. Iran unwilling to give up its nuclear ambitions. In many ways, the points that were agreed to are better than us continuing our military operations to conclusion. But all of those points don't matter compared to allowing nuclear power to be in the hands of such volatile, difficult, and unpredictable people. My three representatives, as all this time went by, became not surprisingly very friendly and respectful of Iran's representatives, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, Abbas Arakchi, and Ali Bagheri. But that doesn't matter because they were very unyielding as to the single most important issue. And as I've always said, right from the beginning, and many years ago, Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. The president very consistent on this, dating back to when he was my age and flirting with the idea way back in the late 1980s of first running for president or even running on the ticket with Bush 41 as he was looking for a younger generation to hand that baton off to. Ultimately, Senator Dan Quayle became vice president of the United States and the running mate of the 41st president, of course, representing the crossroads of Indiana. But President Trump remained in the dialogue through the year 2000 and, of course, 2016 when he ultimately ran for president after temporarily flirting with it on the reform ticket of the year 2000. If you remember way back when, President Trump always committed on this issue. If you're going to go in, take the oil and make sure that they do not have weapons of mass destruction, especially the Shia radical Islamic terrorists known as the Iranian regime, whose baker's dozen, roughly 13 of those proxies, have been wreaking havoc on the United States, the Middle East, and killing countless Americans, whether in the service, our Marines in Benghazi, Libya, to what happened on October 7th of 2023. Never forget as we focus on Operation Epic Fury. Thank you to CovePure.com/RSBN. Get $250 off right now. Drink pure, live pure. Get CovePure.com/RSBN as we break down the PFAS, the microplastics, the agricultural runoff, the pesticides going into the tap water and you consuming that and it being in your gut. Now we know the gut and also the brain communicating in perhaps the most important way as you go throughout your day. If you're putting poison in that, it's not going to go very well. And with the Clearwave technology, removing 99.9% of the impurities from the water, it makes protecting what matters most slightly easier. And the convenience of this machine, no larger than your coffee maker, I'm sure that's on your kitchen counter or in your den, can be easily installed with no pipes, no fitting, no plumbers. What you see is what you get there. So very good if you're renting, so you get that security deposit back and you can get the hot temperatures, the cold temperatures, the lukewarm temperatures to where you want it instantly. So if you enjoy tea as well, a great tool to make sure you're not steeping on the stove and then wasting extra time and precious minutes to get through your day. As you can see there with the model, getting up to 170 instantly. CovePure.com/RSBN, $250 off right now. Drink Pure, Live Pure. Also, JAMA Pediatrics doing a study that students, children drinking from the tap water on a regular basis, literally being poisoned. They lose 2 or more points in their IQ. And with all that COVID learning loss, we don't need any more of that in America here in 2026. Thank you for CovePure.com/RSBN for sponsoring us on the right side of history. Scan that QR code there, $250 off. I'm sure with the Medicaid plans out there and even Medicare, it could be a real headache. And that's why Plan Select helping us get this great service to you where you talk to a real person and can actually select what works well for you, like getting to a gym, having access to that, actually Meals on Wheels as well, which can cover you for a period of time as well. Give a call today. Call today. Do not delay. As Medicare confusing, we make it simple. And the great Dan Marino, quite a quarterback there for the Miami Dolphins all those years ago, knows a thing or two about Medicare agents standing up for you. It's an industry that doesn't always do that. So verify your doctors instantly and have Plan Select look into hundreds of different plans for you that fit the bill, that makes sense for your needs, so it's not making you bankrupt or driving you crazy. Give them a call today. Do not delay. 877-664-8133. That's 877-664-8133. Scan that QR code there now. Make Medicare simple. It's so confusing to begin with. Plan Select. It's insurance solutions for you. Talk to a real person on the other end. If you're confused by any of these changes that happen from state and federal law, you will not have to worry. Let not your heart be troubled today. Again, 877-664-8133. Scan the QR code there. Plan Select. Thank you for sponsoring us on the right side of history as we cover the latest from the Trump White House, inside and outside of the Beltway. It's a confusing, scary world out there, but the golden era is well underway as we are approaching our 250th birthday. With the blockade announcement and details in cut number 9 being broken down by the president there on Truth Social. So there you have it, as the president mentioned. The meeting went well. Most points were agreed to, but the only point that really mattered, the nuclear point, was not effective immediately, as we saw 4.5 hours ago. The United States Navy, the finest in the world, has begun the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. At some point, we will reach an all being allowed to go in, all being allowed out basis, but Iran has not allowed that to happen by merely saying they may be a mine out there somewhere that nobody knows about but them. This is world extortion, and leaders of countries, especially the United States of America, will never be extorted. I have also instructed our Navy to seek and interdict every vessel in international waters that has paid a toll to Iran. No one who pays an illegal toll will have safe passage on the high seas. We will also begin destroying the mines the Iranians laid in the straits. Any Iranian who fires at us at all or at peaceful vessels will be blown to hell. Iran knows better than anyone how to end the situation, which has already devastated their country. Their Navy is gone, their Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft and radar useless. Khamenei and most of their leaders are dead because of the nuclear ambition. Of course, he was known otherwise as the butcher of the Middle East. The blockade will begin immediately, shortly, as it was a few hours ago. Other countries will be involved with this blockade, and Iran will not be allowed to profit off of this illegal act of extortion. Now, they want money, and more importantly, they want nuclear. Additionally, and at any appropriate moment, we are fully locked and loaded. Our military will finish up the little that it has left with Iran. They're signed by the President of the United States. And we know with maritime law, many people or Democrats claiming that there's these illegal orders happening, or you can't hit infrastructure and different energy sources, as we did in the Persian Gulf War and the Iraq War, just some of the latest or more recent engagements in the Middle East. For some reason, it was allowed then, according to Democrats. But with maritime law, you are free to be in those international waters. So Iran, once again, violating the trust and goodwill of the global community, but most of all, including illegal acts attacking vessels going through the strait. Now, with cut number 10 from Newt Gingrich, the former Speaker of the House, really a brilliant mind on politics, stating that the GOP is leading in registration. Seth Keshel, the best student of voter registration in the country, just reported that for the first time in history, the GOP leading on registration. Right now, across the country, Republicans are up by 2,000 in those registrations, 107,000 right of the election of 2024, that very famous one you might remember, when President Trump won by 3.2% of the entire vote. What does that mean as it transplants are overwhelmingly Republican? I guess we'll see come November 2026. And the fake news is crazy, and with cut number 11, it's been made very clear with some of the questions that President Trump has had for them, or some of the questions they've posed to him. As he stated that the fake news media, crazy, just plain corrupt. The United States has completely destroyed Iran's military, including their entire Navy and their Air Force and everything else. Their leadership dead. The Strait of Hormuz will soon be open, and the empty ships are rushing to the United States to load up. But if you listen to the fake news, we are losing. It's an amazing thing to think about as we continue to win. Now, you might have questions on the fertilizer issue with cut number 12. President Trump addressing that very fertilizer issue that has been affected by this operation. I am watching these prices closely. During our fight for freedom in Iran, the United States will not accept price gouging from the fertilizer monopoly. American farmers, we have your back. Signed by the president. And Governor Spanberger of Virginia, she was once considered a dark horse candidate, a so-called moderate, perhaps for president of the United States in 2028 or even 2032. But with cut number 13, she's proven to be a radical left lunatic. And House Speaker Mike Johnson in Virginia this weekend, President Trump speaking on these campaigns, heading to Virginia for meetings at Trump National in Charlottesville. I can't believe what this new Governor Spanberger has done to the Commonwealth. So sad. She is adding so many taxes, a food and beverage tax, digital services tax, utilities tax, and more. It has lost its energy, vitality, and strength. People are leaving that would have never even thought of doing so. New companies that signed to come into the Commonwealth under Governor Youngkin are now looking for ways to get out, break their deal. It all happened so fast. This went from a thriving and powerful place to going to one envied by all, to a Commonwealth run by a person who has no concept of low taxes, economic strength, and people that voted for Spanberger are saying to themselves, why did I do it? What have I done? We have similar situations in New York and most of all California, where rich job-producing people and companies are being forced to flee at levels never seen before. Their tax base in California literally disappearing, as some of the richest people and companies in the world have no choice but to leave. They want to put on a wealth tax, which gives them absolutely no alternative. And as President of the United States, I am embarrassed to watch the destruction of once great and thriving states. But these politicians all sinking in the polls. That does not help, because they will create trillions of dollars worth of destruction, incalculable amounts. Remember, once people and companies leave, they are never coming back. On to congratulations by the president to Artemis II. In case you missed the spill, the drop into off the coast of San Diego, California, late on Friday evening. The Artemis II crew celebrating their success. Congratulations to the great and very talented crew of Artemis II. The entire trip was spectacular. The landing, perfect. And as President of the United States, I could not be more proud. I look forward to seeing you all at the White House soon. We'll be doing it again, and then next step to Mars. Again, signed by the President. An exciting time for all of humanity as they launched roughly 10 days ago now. To see this all happening, truly spectacular to see the space program back in full force. With everything going on in the world right now, from instability to Operation Epic Fury, supply chain issues, and instability here at home when it comes to the dollar going down, what are you to do when you get sick? All Family Pharmacy makes sure you have that access to medication regardless of what's happening around the world. Most people not thinking about what they need, and then something happens. And by then it's too late after you're sick and you need life-saving medications. This independent family pharmacy helps you stay stocked and prepared. They carry medications like antibiotics to antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, hydrochloroquine, NAD+, methylene blue, and nasal sprays. So big this time of year as the pollen outside. Even I don't really have many allergies, but my goodness, that pollen really can get to me at times. Also, Tamiflu for the cold and flu, as it still seems to be creeping in the springtime. Now, with 400 everyday prescriptions for blood pressure, thyroid medications, diabetes, and many other maintenance medications, you can choose right here site-wide across the board, 10% off right now at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Code RSBN10 for 10% off. Go online, fill out that form. A licensed doctor reviews it. Even your doctor can send that prescription in, and then it gets back to you in a couple of days. This is about being prepared because when you need it, not scrambling for the facts, but what's in the medicine cabinet, or God forbid, if you're on the road and sick, you have that right there with you. Easy, essential, right to try, most favored nation status, also easy to travel with. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Scan the QR code there now. Code RSBN10, 10% off at All Family Pharmacy. Tax Network, it's the favorite day for the Democrats. Come Wednesday, April 15th, it is Tax Day in America. If there are any back taxes, confused about taxes, even on this Monday, April 13th, it's not too late. TNUSA.com/RSBN. Settle those back taxes today with these patriots who many have worked for the IRS, many brilliant accountants, CPAs who handle this on a daily basis. You can trust them. They are our dear friends here and believe in constitutional governance right here in America. So it's not like you're talking just to a bureaucrat on the other end you might not be able to trust. 877-479-6503. Again, 877-479-6503. Call today and do not delay. Protect yourself from the IRS. Settle those back taxes now. Get it done. Don't let it hang over your head. TNUSA.com/RSBN. As you might have missed, not only the Trump Library that's proposed as a skyscraper, in fact, will be the tallest building in Miami, Florida. How about the Triumphal Arch? I said that correctly, too. Triumphal Arch, text and photo in Washington, D.C. with cut number 15. That is something on the horizon for President Trump after the White House, as I am pleased to announce that today, my administration officially filing the presentation and plans to the highly respected Commission of the Fine Arts for what will be the greatest and most beautiful triumphal arch anywhere in the world. This will be a wonderful addition to the Washington, D.C. area for all Americans to enjoy for many decades to come. And we have some photos for your viewing pleasure. What do you think about that? In addition to that grand, beautiful ballroom, Harrison Design releasing those early photos that will be something very spectacular for Washington, D.C. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And that archway that very similar to that Roman architecture of that once late, great ancient empire. A great reminder of that beauty and that architecture that can inspire us on a daily basis. As the Vice President, as we mentioned before, in Islamabad this weekend. We played that video for you earlier. In case you missed it, no deal. So we have the strait that is blockaded right now by the United States and allies. Every ship in and out has to be screened, and American forces looking for those mines that were promised by the Iranian regime. We're roughly 4 hours and 45 minutes into that blockade. We'll give you any developments that we hear across the channels with the Artemis II tribute video and cut number 17 of these few Americans who dare space to go to that final frontier and beyond for all of humanity.
Ree, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy on this historic mission. You take with you the heart of this Artemis team, the daring spirit of the American people and our partners across the globe, and the hopes and dreams of a new generation. Good luck. Godspeed, Artemis 2.
4, 3, 2,
Let's go.
1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
It was an amazing ride uphill. The views, we've got 2 moon rises that we've had so far, and the views of planet Earth. We've circled it completely, and we forgot how beautiful it is to look down on Earth. Humanity has once again shown what we are capable of, and it's your hopes for the future that carry us now on this journey around the moon.
With the glorious, beautiful skies into space and in Washington, D.C. as well, cut number 18 showcasing, in case you missed it, Friday at the White House, like the Masters, a tradition unlike any other. Springtime and the golden era of America, as we cover the latest from the Trump White House. I'm Robert McNeely, as it's always a joy to be with you here on the right side of history, your number one source for political events in America, your go-to live desk and rally network, as we will be on the road this week. Phoenix, Arizona, towards the end, but stick with us for coverage all week on what's happening in the Beltway, outside of the Beltway, and abroad. And not to beat a dead horse if you've been watching this coverage today, but a simple commitment with cut number 20, the Vice President clear. No nukes for Iran, just as President Trump has been speaking on since he came down that golden escalator in 2015. And with talks falling through this Saturday, the Vice President highlighting that in Islamabad, Pakistan.
Precisely what have they rejected here? Can you help us understand it a little bit?
Well, I won't go into all the details because I don't want to negotiate in public after we negotiated for 21 hours in private. But the simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations. Again, their nuclear program, such as it is, the enrichment facilities that they had before, they've been destroyed. But the simple question is, do we see a fundamental commitment of will for the Iranians not to develop a nuclear weapon, not just now, not just 2 years from now, but for the long term? We haven't seen that yet. We hope that we will.
President Trump from the South Lawn of the White House this weekend detailing that Iran is decimated, and with cut number 22, taking questions from reporters before boarding Marine One.
How do you know that? Why do you say that? Why do you say that? You don't know anything. Who are you with? Who are you with?
NBC News, Julie Surkin.
ABC?
NBC.
Well, that's fake news. Let me just tell you, we win, no matter what. We've defeated their military. They have no Navy. 158 ships are underwater, undersea. All of their minesweepers and all of their, they call them mine droppers. Can you imagine? A country has 28 mine droppers. You think that's nice? With all of that being said, they're all defeated, by the way. They're all at the bottom of the sea. Now, with all of that, they have no Navy. They have no radar. They have no Air Force. Their leaders are all dead. Khomeini is gone. For many years he ruled. He's gone. With all of that, let's see what happens. But from my standpoint, I don't care. Thank you.
The dollar is going down. What are you to do with diversification of savings and a tax-sheltered IRA from the best in the business at Birch Gold Group as gold skyrocketing 700% in the last 20 years? Diversify those savings with gold, silver, tangible metals. There's a reason why JP Morgan Chase buying up silver and governments around the world in their respective federal reserves buying up gold and hoarding it. And the question is, why are they doing that as some of their currencies, including the paper dollar, less and less effective, and that dollar not going as far as it once did? Text Trump to 989898 and join patriots like Ben Shapiro and Steve Bannon, Dr. Ron Paul, and Clay Travis, Buck Sexton as well, all endorsing the Birch Gold Group. Of course, the spokesperson, Philip Patrick, driving us through and guiding us through how important it is to have a tax-sheltered IRA for diversification in America here in 2026, the golden era. Again, text Trump to 989898 for all of those details on how you can protect you and yours. The best part of the guide, it's free. It's on the house. You have nothing to lose. And yes, one size does not fit all. Find out how your assets, your savings, everything you worked hard for can have that tax-sheltered diversification in your IRA or 401k with the free info guide from Birch Gold Group. Quite a gift right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Text Trump to 989898. And when you go through all of the protection of assets and savings, why not make a bet or trade at Kalshi.com/RSBN, the trending political market right now. The 2028 Republican presidential nominee. Will that be Vice President J.D. Vance, the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Senator Ted Cruz, Governor Ron DeSantis, perhaps former Ambassador Nikki Haley might try to make a comeback as we see former Vice President Kamala Harris on the Democrat side allegedly getting everything ready as she blames the rest of her party for the failings of her efforts in 2024. Trade on the most important events, including the Masters. Back-to-back champion Rory McIlroy, successful yesterday in that. But did you miss a bet or a trade? Never miss it again with Kalshi.com/RSBN. Music, sports, culture, politics, and more. Kalshi.com/RSBN. Thank you for sponsoring us on the right side of history as we break down the day of the news and from the weekend on this Monday, April 13th, 2026. President Trump with a warning for China if they are to involve themselves in Operation Epic Fury in cut number 23.
China is preparing to ship weapons to Iran.
Well, if China does that, China's going to have big problems, okay?
The beauty of that ballroom standing up as it is being completed. In the background, President Trump stating that we will win regardless with cut number 24.
We're going to see what happens. We're in very deep negotiations with Iran. We win regardless. We've defeated them militarily. They've dropped a couple of water mines, you call them water mines, in the boat. We've defeated all of their water boats, too. Their Navy has gone 158 ships. They have 28 water droppers, mine droppers, they call them. All of them are sunk. They probably have a couple of mines in the water. We have mine sweepers out there. We're sweeping the strait. In addition to that, we're negotiating. Whether we make a deal or not makes no difference to me. The reason is because we've won. Whether you listen to the fake news or not, you know, it's amazing. Their credibility is down to 13%. The media credibility down to 13%. Think of it. We defeated their Navy. We defeated their Air Force. We defeated their anti-aircraft. We defeated their radar. We defeated their leaders. Their leaders are all dead. And now all we do is we'll open up the strait, even though we don't use it, because we have a lot of other countries in the world that do use it that are either afraid or weak or cheap. I don't know what it is, but we were not helped by NATO, that I can tell you.
President Trump at Joint Base Andrews following that takeoff from Marine One on the south lawn of the White House, stating once again, as we've covered today, no nukes for the Iranian regime, and cut number 25.
What would a good deal look like for you?
No nuclear weapon, number one. You know, I think it's already been regime change, but we never had that as a criteria. No nuclear weapon. That's 99% of it.
Strait of Hormuz as well?
Yeah, but that'll open up automatically. The answer is yes, but the strait will open up. If we just left, the strait's going to, otherwise they make no money. So the strait's going to open, but what we have is no nuclear weapon, but we'll open the strait anyway. Don't forget, we don't use the strait. Other countries use the strait. So we do have other countries coming up, and they'll help out, but we don't use it. It won't be easy. It won't be, I would say this, we will have that open fairly soon.
The administration committed to not letting Iran toll the strait, as these are international waters there in the Strait of Hormuz, and President Trump detailing that with cut number 26.
You're not going to let them toll the strait, are you? I mean, it's international.
No, we're not going to let that. It's international water. If they're doing that, nobody knows if they're doing that, but if they're doing that, we're not going to let that happen.
A clear violation of federal law and international maritime law specifically. So as we cover the latest from the Trump White House and the events inside and outside of the Beltway, both domestically and abroad, the following are the worst criminals. The cut number 27, President Trump detailing just some of the bad hombres that have been picked up over the course of his tenure. Those illegal aliens who were let through the border by the Biden administration and Alejandro Mayorkas. In just the first months of 2026, the Trump administration arresting scores of depraved illegal alien killers, rapists, and violent sex predators who are unleashed by the radical left's open border agenda. Policies Democrats are desperate to restore. And as we rapid fire these, I ask just a warning, if you do have children in the room, some of these allegations are quite disturbing, like the ones of Kenneth Guzman with cut number 28 and his terrible actions that are really against humanity. There is his mugshot there. Kenneth Marino Guzman, a Mexican illegal, is charged with the horrific rape of an 11-year-old girl in Georgia while holding her 10-year-old sister at knife point in the same room. The sick monster broke into the family's home through the back door, then raped the young girl in front of her terrified little sister. Now, the predator, who had been previously removed from the country, later told police that he was attracted to the child. No words for this kind of horror that has been let into our country. 29, Samuel Maldonado Erazzo, who is also charged with the savage first-degree murder of his own 3-year-old U.S. citizen nephew in Florida. This sick monster beat the toddler to death with at least 17 strikes to the head, plus extensive bruising, intentional burns, a broken collarbone, a transected pancreas, multiple broken ribs, one completely detached from the spine, and signs of possible sexual abuse. Previously deported, he illegally re-entered and was released into the country under the Biden administration. Cut number 30, we have Zaid Mayan Esteban and also Jonathan David Garcia Larios, 2 Mexican illegals charged in a sickening torture and brutal home invasion in North Carolina. These depraved monsters broke into the victim's home and restrained him at knife point, sodomized him, ripped off his fingernails in a grotesque act of pure evil. One of these animals had already been deported in 2024 before illegally re-entering the country. 31, Francisco Mendez Marin, and we're showing the different mugshots here. A Mexican illegal is charged with the brutal murder of his newlywed wife in Texas. Just weeks after their marriage, the depraved killer slit her throat with a pocket knife, then casually told police that he did not do anything bad and was obligated to do it. How disgusting, horrendous, bizarre, and clearly an act of evil. With 32, and Christian Nunez Guzman, another Mexican illegal, charged with raping and sexually assaulting 2 young girls in Ohio, including a girl with special needs. Sick predator previously deported in 2012 after drug convictions preyed on the most vulnerable. Carlos Reynoso also charged with horrendous accusations. Carlos Aguilar Reynoso, a Guatemalan illegal alien, charged with the horrific rape of a 5-year-old girl he was babysitting in New York. The innocent child, whose mother returned home to discover blood in her underwear, suffered such severe internal injuries that she required surgery. Animals don't treat each other like this, but these illegal aliens doing this to innocent Americans. Misael Gomez in cut number 34. A Guatemalan illegal alien charged with the cold-blooded murder of his own 3-month-old daughter in Virginia. A heartless monster who was released into the country under the Biden administration. Same old story, allegedly killed the infant through blunt force trauma. And we have Abdul Jula as well, or Jallo, there. A Sierra Leone illegal alien charged with the random savage murder of a mother at a bus stop in Virginia. This vicious thug who allegedly stabbed the innocent woman more than 30 times has dozens of prior arrests for violent crimes. Dozens, but he's allowed to walk in the streets of the Commonwealth. Posada Hernandez, this individual, Byron Alexander Posada Hernandez specifically, a Honduran illegal alien, is charged with murder after shoving an 83-year-old Air Force veteran and another bystander onto the New York City subway tracks as Mayor Mamdani runs the city. This career criminal, when unprovoked, left the veteran dead and was on the streets of the sanctuary city despite 4 prior deportations and 15 prior criminal charges. So we leave that there for you today. It's an unpleasant topic. It's hard to see their faces and their names, but we show it once because there is a main party in this country, the Democrat Party, that claims this is happening otherwise. And this does not exist throughout America because of the 46th president of the United States and his failed administration who intentionally opened a border. It is 100% preventable following the law, as this administration, in its second administration and tenure, deporting nearly 3 million at this point. Keep the mission going, keep it up, and I'd recommend that maybe Pope Leo comment on this every once in a while, including the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, instead of playing politics with conservative Americans, and specifically with this administration, as these horrible crimes are horrendous and unspeakable. And until it happens to your family, or until you know someone who's gone through it, perhaps you should have more than thoughts and prayers, but actually comment on it as leaders in the Western world. Thank you to mypillow.com/RSBN. The warehouse moving sale. If you are moving, save up to 80% with mypillow.com/RSBN. Promo code RSBN. We love Mike Lindell. He's a great man. We love my coffee, the My Pillow 1.0, 2.0. Also, those My Slippers, very comfy in the morning. So for a good night's rest with those Giza Dream Sheets, go to Mike Lindell's mypillow.com/RSBN. There you have over 2,000 options, everything made in America, from free and fair sourced options throughout the world, but again, made in the great state of Minnesota. Did I mention he's a candidate for governor of Minnesota? We hope it goes well, because God knows, after $19 billion of waste, fraud, and abuse from the Leering Center and related Somalian illegal criminal activity, Minnesota can get its tax money back with a good administrator and leader and CEO like Mike Lindell, a dear friend of ours. mypillow.com/RSBN. Thank you for sponsoring us, Mike, on the right side of history. And be sure to visit that website today, mypillow.com/RSBN. If you have the means, if you can, please feel free to donate to your go-to live desk, Rally Network, and also your #1 source for political events in America. It's Right Side Broadcasting Network, rsbnetwork.com/donate. RSBN viewers supported. Please help us continue to cover live events right here at home. rsbnetwork.com/donate. You can also subscribe at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. Some great articles, great writers here at the network as well, in addition to our broadcasts. Also, if you'd like to send a check or a money order, the old school way of doing things, 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344. It's the loveliest village on the plains, Auburn, Alabama. 36830-1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344. Auburn, Alabama, 36830. Thank you for supporting us on the right side of history. You are great patriots who watch this network, and tell a friend or two as we continue to cover the 2026 midterms, the latest from the Trump White House, the 119th Congress, and the slimmest of majorities that really in jeopardy until the November 2026 elections. It's going to be a doozy as we look forward to 250 years in this golden era of this wonderful country. For Matthew Alvarez, the entire production team here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, from our hearts and our home studio to yours, may you have a God-blessed and filled Monday, April 13th. Before we say goodbye, a special note today that 22 years ago, on this day, I had a diagnosis of thyroid cancer. I went in for my very first surgery. I want those watching today, especially the young ones who might be watching and the students, don't let anything hold you back. I am a living proof that you can have a second chance at life, especially the blessings from Almighty God, from whom all blessings flow. I am grateful that I get to use my voice for my career. It was threatened at one point, and the good Lord had other plans. So thank you to Jesus and for a God on high who truly does care about us as we celebrate that this Easter season, and also specifically to my mother, my biggest fan, always there to support me along that way. It's something when you get that C word, that cancer word, it can be scary, but never back down. And in case you're going through anything right now, just know that. Keep fighting, keep going, and don't quit. Just like the president says, never, ever give up. Grateful to all of you, and thank you for watching Right Side Broadcasting Network, your #1 source for political events right here at home. I'm Robert McNeely. Have a wonderful day. In case there's breaking news, we'll be right here with you, and be with us all week as we get on the road. President Trump as well, heading to Las Vegas on Thursday, and of course, Phoenix, Arizona, State 48 on Friday. Have a wonderful Monday, and we will be with you again very soon.